So tonight we're starting a new video. It's probably gonna take me a week to shoot, but I think it's gonna be worth it. So as you guys know, we have a whole heck of a lot of chickens here on our farm, and they've like broken up into like, I don't know, 4 or 5 different flocks. And what I'm gonna try to do in today's video is combine them all into one big flock. Oh. Abby and Molly Murder Mittens are playing. Abby, leave her alone. Come on. You have to learn about kitten consent. When they say no, you have to leave them alone. Be respectful, lady. So yeah, here's a couple of our chickens here. Here's Carmen and these 2 sort of Rhode Island reddish looking chickens. I also have this rooster who's been wandering around. This other like Bielenfelder Rhode Island Red Cross chicken. That Barred Rock chicken that's in there. You know, I will admit on my farm, I've taken the concept of free range poultry to the extreme. Pretty much ever since the start of summer, I've let all of my birds, my ducks, my geese, my chickens, all of them have just completely free ranged in the farm for the last couple of months. Because we have this 5-foot high fence with an electrical top wire, plus 2 livestock guardian dogs patrolling, I don't really worry about predators on our farm. And because of that, I've let all my birds free range. And it's been kind of a cool experiment. For the winter, all the birds are gonna end up living in that giant hoop coop over there. But right now I have no reason to lock them up. Here's our youngest duck flock. There's their mom generic duck. There's the youngest duck, Toby McQuackers, in the middle. Here's Frank and Bean hanging out in the pasture. Here's our giant crew of geese. Yeah, we have a lot of birds right now. And I'm gonna work on consolidating my ducks and geese in a future video, but for the time being, I'm gonna let them free range. You guys gotta get out of this space, because I'm gonna move my chicken flock, my pasture chicken flock, into this little yard that I've created here. I've taken several rolls of electric poultry netting, and so I have an area of about a ½ acre here constrained. And for the next couple of weeks, this is gonna become bird yard, and all of my farm's chickens are moving in here. Come on, Abby Dabby Doo, I need your help, let's go. Nighty night, chickens. They always really get cranky when it's a bumpy ride, but I find it's better to do it at night versus in the morning. It's also important to grab the eggs before you move things. Whoa, something's got Abby's attention. What's up, Abby dog? Is there some rustling in the bushes that got your attention? What's up? Well, you're just curious about my eggs, aren't you? The eggs broke. Nothing like driving the chicken train. Woo, woo. Now the trick is I just don't want to go too fast. I put that steel pole down to cover up the water line so I don't crunch it. Alrighty, I think they're gonna be all set for the morning. Just tighten up this connection with a couple of zip ties. There we go, that's nice and tight. And would you look at that, we got Mr. Toby Dog waiting on the other side of the fence. Hey buddy, how's it going? Yeah, Abby, you can't go through that fence. You're not gonna wanna go through that fence. Especially because I'm gonna electrify this fence. Ooh, that's hot, see? All right, now you're not gonna wanna touch this fence at this point. So Toby, you know not to touch it. Abby, be careful. You're gonna get zapped, just like the cow fence. I don't know if... And now the next step in this project is gonna require me to check back in the morning. Hey little chickens, it seems like you're just waking up this morning. Good to see you. This morning, we're now gonna put part 2 of our plan into action. Ooh, I even got my little chickens. How's it going, guys? And I got my Abby dog. Of course I've got my Abby dog. Yeah. You just want love and attention? Yeah, okay, you get some. Now, chickens are exceptionally hierarchical animals. You know that term pecking order? Well, that's absolutely what you'll see with chickens, where you will have the leading birds and then the weaker birds, and they establish who does what, who gets to eat what when. It's a massive part of their entire bird society. And now over the years, I've made videos talking about the chicken hierarchy and the chicken patriarchy and how to integrate chickens, and I've experimented with a number of different ways. But one way I've never tried, but I wanna try in this video, is where I slowly introduce new birds into a larger flock. And over the course of about a week, I hope to have all of my chickens that are out here running loose, except for the bantam chickens, out there living in the pasture with the chickens that I just put into the new chicken yard. And so that means all my little birds that you see like right here, as well as the older birds, are gonna get integrated. I don't wanna do it all at once because that will create chaos, but I am gonna do it slowly. And so yeah, let's start the process. So I wasn't able to catch that barred rock, but I did catch Red, the New Hampshire Red, Carmen, the Peacham, and Barbara the creviform. I'll make them the first 3 chickens that get introduced. Come on, Abby, you wanna help me? Take it easy, girls. Okay, girls, this is gonna be your new home, and that's gonna be your new flock. Now, as I pull these chickens out, one thing I am gonna do is I'm gonna clip their wings. This will make it harder for them to escape. Easy, girl, easy. Now, clipping a chicken's wings is a completely safe procedure for the chicken. It will not harm them, but it will keep them from hopping over a fence like the one behind me. You know, there's been a lot written about birds like parrots and how bad it is to clip their wings, and so that's true. But when it comes to a chicken, if you just clip one of their wings, it makes it hard for them to fly, and so they won't be able to hop this fence. All right, you're free to go, girl. All right, Carmen, you're next. Hey, in you go, girl.
And now it's Barbara's turn. The reason she's named Barbara is because she looks like a Barbara. I mean, look at that hairdo. How is that not a Barbara?
No offense to any Barbaras out there. Okay, in you go, Barbara. You can see all 3 of them are like, wait a minute, we want to get back to over there. It's gonna take them a little time to learn over here. This is why having the electrical turned on most of the time is gonna be really important, because it trains them to the fence. And Abby, you gotta be careful. I don't want you to get zapped. I think you already learned your lesson at some point. Okay, Carmen. Yeah, this is your new flock. Don't worry, it's gonna be cool. Lots of cow pies to pick through. We got clover, and there's lots of other chickens, see? Yeah, see, Barbara and Red are already settling in. Of course, Abby feels left out. She's like, but I want to come in. Unfortunately, I don't want her to train her to come in. I'm actually gonna try to experiment with letting her stay loose more and more, but if I let her figure out how to get in here, that could ruin that experiment. Sorry, girl. It's just part of the deal. You can stand watch, but you can't come in. All right, let me give you birds some fresh water here. I want to make sure you have plenty of feed. And now I'm just gonna let them do their chicken thing and check back later today. All right, so it's now getting to be dusk time, the time the chickens usually go into bed at night. And most of the chickens appear to have all gone in. Even earlier today, I caught that stubborn barred rock and I tossed her in with everybody else. And it seems like she's gone to bed inside the chicken coop, but there's only one chicken that has not gone to bed. And that chicken is Carmen, who's right here by me. You know, Carmen has spent pretty much the last year living inside the quack house. And so it's gonna be a tough habit to break for her. Come on, Carmi, you're gonna come with me. Carmen's an older chicken. They've had her about 3 years now? No, 2 years, 2.5 years actually. But yeah, she's a cochin. I really like her. She gets super broody, which is why I've typically not kept her out in the pasture with these chickens. I think she thinks she's better than everybody else.
You can call me Queen Bee.
She is a really great chicken. Okay, Carm, you're going in with everybody else. Good night. So far this seems to be working out pretty well. I'll check back in with you guys in a couple of days as I slowly introduce the rest of the chicken flock into this chicken yard. Oh, look at this Abby. She's sitting right there waiting for me. Good girl. Good girl, sweetie. Yeah, you deserve some petting. Good girl. You're so well behaved. Good job. All right, let's check back in on our chicken project. So actually yesterday, Alfred was over here helping me with the hoop coop.
My buddy Alfred, he lives on down the road. He's a wizard with machines, a genius in blue jeans. Let's stop and say hello. My buddy Alfred, Vermont's best so-and-so. Bricklaying engineer, surgeon, driving heavy gear. Ain't nothing he don't know.
And Alfred's son actually was here with him, and so I decided to give him a job, and I had him catch all of my chickens that were loose and put them out into the area. Unfortunately, as I'm looking out here today, I see many of the chickens that he caught are back out in general population. Like Barred Rock, I think I've caught you twice myself, and I know Amos caught you yesterday too. What's the deal here, huh? You guys keep escaping. That's not cool. Yeah, like as I'm looking out here right now, I see maybe nearly a dozen chickens that were in there that have escaped. Maybe not that many, maybe about 9. All right, Abby, let's go investigate. Let's see what the problem is. Well, I still see many of our chickens. It's not all of our chickens. What could the problem be? I wonder if my fence is not hot enough. I really don't want to have to do this, but I don't have my fence meter with me, so I'm gonna have to do this. I mean, it's like nothing. Like, I can feel an electrical pulse, but it would probably not be enough to deter a chicken from trying to slip through. What's going on? How are you guys liking your new home? So these are half of my young chickens here. So we got 2 of the Bielenfelder females, 1 of the Bielenfelder males, the red star layer. That's my bonus chicken, that black one back there. And then this is an Americana that was supposed to be a hen, but he's definitely looking like he's a rooster these days. Come on guys, I'm gonna feed you. I don't know why you don't like this spot. You got plenty of clover, you got plenty of grass, you got plenty of cow poop.
Nice. It don't smell like roaches in here or nothing.
I would personally assume that this area right here is like a chicken paradise.
Hey, Uncle Buck. What's going on, pal?
Uncle Buck might be a little bit nervous as he's seeing the young blood coming in. Yeah, I think my problem here is the fact that my fence is not hot enough. I don't even know why. It should be.
Okay, heat up, guys.
One of the things I'm actually wondering is if I'm gonna be better off if I get a second fence charger out here. And so rather than tapping off my main line, I use something a little different.
I'm also hearing the fence short out over here. Hear that? I see the problem. The electric poly wire is coming in contact with the fence.
I put it up right against the fence to prevent the chickens from slipping out, but I think what that's doing is grounding out the fence. And so despite the fact that I have like a super powerful charger going there, I mean, it's enough to stop cattle. It should easily stop chickens. It's not stopping chickens.
At least most of you guys are getting used to this habitat. That's good to see.
Yeah, because I didn't think it was gonna be the grass that was the problem, because if you look, most of the grass is really low from the cattle.
But you can even hear it, right? Hear that popping noise? That's the sound of the fence grounding out.
All right, I'm gonna have to come up with a solution for this. All right, it's now much later in the day, but I've returned to try to fix my fence issues. So the solution I came up with are these things. They're usually used as like fence insulators.
Abby, you gotta be careful. You're gonna get zapped if you come too close.
All right, let's disconnect so I don't get zapped myself. Now, I think if I just stick a couple of these right in here, they'll act as spacers, prevent things from shorting out. That might be all I need to do. I'll do one more down here. And I'll do the same thing on this side.
Yeah, I don't know if you can see this. See how there's like almost burn marks like right here on the metal? That's from the fence shorting. So this fence will do a much better job of holding the chickens now that I've got it insulated better.
There we go. Add just a couple more for safety's sake.
So it's now 2 days later. Under the cover of nightfall last night, I actually snuck out here and took a few of the chickens that were still at large and stuck them in with the other chickens out here in the hoop coop. So yeah, we had a full house in the hoop coop last night for the first time. But yeah, it's looking pretty good.
I'm really excited about the fact that I have all of my chickens together in one spot. You know, they seem like they're getting along okay. I'm not seeing like any problems yet. I think we'll be able to tell over the course of the day. I mean, the thing that I do notice is they are sort of clustering in factions.
For example, most of the chickens that were chicks earlier this summer, the ones that I got from my friends over at Murray McMurray, they're all over here. They're kind of doing their thing. They're still maybe wondering if they can get out or not. But then I got the older ones, both the older ones that were out here in pasture as well as the older ones that were just kind of free ranging around the farm. They're all over here. One of the places where I expect to see maybe potentially some pecking order establishment is with Buck, our rooster, as well as some of the young roosters we have here. You know, by my count, I think I actually have 4 cockerels in the mix here. And so these young guys are gonna be going head to head with Buck.
That's only natural. I don't expect the violence to be too bad though. The cockerels are still kind of young and Buck is you know, slightly disabled, and so I don't expect him to put a hurting on anybody. So it should establish itself pretty easily.
Hey Abby dog, what you doing? You guarding the fence perimeter for our chickens? That's a good girl. This is definitely the most interesting spot on the farm for Abby these days. She loves to watch those chickens. I know, sweetie, I know. You want to play with chickens, but you can't. It's against the rules of the farm. Oh, you're a very good sweetheart. Hey, Barbara, your hair's looking good.
So now the thing to watch for is to make sure no real violence breaks out with the chickens over the next few days. But I don't really expect too much bad to go wrong here. They got plenty of food, plenty of water, plenty of space, which are some of the main resources they're gonna fight against.
You know, perhaps the thing we will check back in with tonight is to see if they fight over the roosting space, because there's plenty of roosting space.
There's like more than enough for 40 chickens. And I think by my count, I have like about 25 out here right now.
But it's not an infinite resource, and so I could see things getting a little bit aggressive and violent around evening time. There's also the chance that some of these young ones aren't even gonna figure out how to use the coop over the first few nights.
So let's check back in at sundown.
Hey chickens. Hey Uncle Buck, how are you doing? Sitting down low. Carmen, you're also down low. Looks like we got a lot of them in here, but it still seems like we got a couple napping out here on the prairie. I'm looking at these birds. These are mostly the young ones. Seems like they still want to go back to their natural home, which is up there. I don't know, Abby. I guess I'm gonna have to help them go to bed. Come on, guys. Come on. Yeah, this isn't gonna work.
The truth of the matter is they'll probably stay out here until it gets dark before checking back into the house.
I can tell they're already giving up on their dream of going back to their old home, and we'll probably go back to where they spent the night last night.
Training chickens can be hard, so we'll have to check back in with them again tomorrow.
Come on, Abby. Let's go check on the chickens. Good morning, my little chicken crew. How's everybody doing today? Everybody's looking happy and healthy. Let's just jump your fence. Yikes, don't want to get zapped. That high-powered fence is keeping the chickens from escaping, but I gotta be careful because you don't want to get hit with it. Chickens can tell I have a bag of treats here, and so that's why they're following me. Look at this. Doo-doo, doo-doo. Do 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 do. You want that, don't you? Yeah, it's exciting, isn't it? Well, here's some of my younger chickens. They're still sort of a flock division. They're sort of the older chickens and then the younger chickens, but for the most part, they're blended in together. There's our patriarch, Uncle Buck. How's it going, kid? Yeah, that leg's no better than it ever was. All right, so that's some old zucchini bread, squash cuttings. Allison made some vegan mac and cheese that kind of got old. There you go, some other vegetable cuttings. Yeah, everybody's happy with that. You know, one of the advantages of having all of my chickens together and having them separate from the ducks and geese is it's easier to feed them things like bread. Because you never want to feed a duck or goose bread because it can give them something known as sauerkraut, but it's fine for chickens. And so anytime we have old or stale bread, I love to feed it to the chickens. It was always hard to do it when they were all commingled, but now that they're separate, this is super easy. I think even when I have everybody over in the hoop coop there, I'll probably end up creating just like a separate chicken area so we can take all of our compost and bring it out to the chickens and let them feast on it. So even when you feed your chickens, what you can notice is this is sort of how they establish their hierarchy. You'll see that some of the choicest bits, like that big chunk of zucchini bread, is getting eaten by most of the older chickens. They've blocked out the younger, weaker chickens. That's putting the younger, weaker chickens at the bottom of the hierarchy, which is not necessarily a bad thing because that's really where they should start out. Now, obviously, as some of these chickens grow, they will start to shift the hierarchy a bit. But by doing something like this and having them all together like this, it creates a good sense of pecking order without a whole heck of a lot of violence. All right, let's see what we got for egg production this morning. We got a couple this morning. That's good to see. Somebody left their egg outside the nesting box though. So I also noticed somebody left an egg underneath the coop. I got to admit, I really don't feel like going down there and getting it.
I was gonna move the coop over just a little bit anyway, so let's
See if I can do that.
I've actually never really tried to move this thing by hand. I've always used the ATV to move it, so let's see if this works. Yeah, that will get your blood pumping in the morning.
I don't think I want this egg. Yeah, so it's actually gonna be important that I move the coop every couple of days now because you can see I get a lot of manure and I don't want too much manure build up here, so probably every 3 days I'll move it.
Put that back in place. Hook them up with some fresh water and some fresh feed.
You know, I actually have 2 feeders out here right now just for that hierarchy thing I was talking about earlier.
It's still probably gonna take about another week or two until they fully form into one big flock. So I'm just gonna be a little careful with them.
Abby dog, you're doing such a good job, girl. You're waiting very patiently. You're watching your chickens. That's really good work.
You know, again, when it comes to Abby's training, what I want to do is put her in situations where she can't fail, but she can get very much used to the best possible behavior. And so watching chickens like that, that's exactly what I want to see out of her. Of course, I forgot to bring my egg collection basket, but oh well. Well, I hope you guys have enjoyed watching this saga of me bringing all of my chickens together. I'll be back again with another video real soon, but until then, give this video over here a watch. I really think you're gonna enjoy it. Thanks, everybody.